I am a certified RV repair tech. And between helping people in person and online, I have helped fix over 1,000 RVs at this point. And today I'm going to show you the one skill I wish every RVer knew how to do, because it would save everyone so much time and money in their RV. So what's this one skill? How to check your fuses. And even if you think you already know everything there is to know about fuses, stick with me to the end of this video, because I'm going to show you some of the hidden fuses in your RV that I bet you don't know about. So right off the top, what the heck is this thing? Well, it's called a fuse, and they come in a variety of shapes and sizes. These blade fuses are the most common, but you can see cylindrical fuses and you can see blade fuses like this that are much smaller. But this guy is definitely the most common. It's made up of 2 metal paddles, a small filament that connects them, and then a plastic case to protect the whole thing. Its whole job is to be cheap and reliable protection for your expensive appliances in your RV. The whole idea is that if you have a big power surge go through your rig, this small filament is going to get hot and break before something more expensive in your rig does. Think of this little guy as a knight in shining armor, protecting your air conditioner and your fridge from power surges. But unfortunately, this little knight only has one life. So once that filament breaks, he needs to be replaced before the appliance will ever start working again. So where the heck are these things, and how can you figure out if one of them is the reason why one of your appliances won't turn on? Well, you're almost always, and I only say almost because nothing is 100% when it comes to RVs, going to have something in your RV called a fuse panel, which is basically just a panel where you hold all your fuses. Go figure. It looks something like this, and it's usually hiding next to or on the breaker panel. Your breakers are meant to protect the AC appliances in your RV, and your fuses are meant to protect the DC appliances in your RV. You can usually find your breaker panel and your fuse panel in the kitchen area near the floor, or underneath the bed in the master bedroom. Those are the 2 most common places to find this thing, but wowza, have I found them in some crazy places in RVs. So look around. There's probably one in your RV somewhere. Once you're done playing hide and seek and you do find your fuse panel, open it up and it should look something like this. Keep in mind that the fuse panel that you find inside of the RV is made to control all the parts of your RV that make it feel like a house. This includes things like your lights, your slides, your leveling jacks, the fart fan in your bathroom, and all of your propane appliances. These things are all protected by fuses that you will find in your fuse panel. If you're in a motorhome like I am, there's usually going to be a separate fuse panel for the parts of the RV that feel like a car. And you can usually find that fuse panel down near the motor. You can test the fuses in your fuse panel inside your RV and at the motor the exact same way, but it can be helpful to know which one to head towards when something stops working in your RV. Now that you've found your fuse panel, here's how to go about testing to see if one of your fuses is your problem. You can either go for the method that doesn't need any tools at all except for your eyeballs, which isn't always as effective and can take a little longer, but at least you need no additional tools. Or you can use a multimeter to test all of your fuses in seconds and know 100% for sure if a fuse is your problem. If you don't have a multimeter, then all you're going to do is one by one remove a fuse and take a look at it and just give it a visual inspection. Hold it up to the light and see if you can see if that filament inside is still intact. If that filament is still intact, the fuse is probably good, and if it's not intact, then that fuse is definitely bad and needs to be replaced. Just make sure to do this one fuse at a time so you know which fuse to put back where. In my fuse panel, all of my fuses are the same size and rating, but in a lot of fuse panels, they'll be all different ratings. So you want to make sure that the right fuse goes back in the right place. Your fuse panel may have a label on the side telling you which fuse goes to what thing in your RV. And as a rule of thumb, I usually ignore this label. I've had it be wrong more than once and lead me down a bad rabbit hole. And so unless you have done the good old take each fuse out one at a time and see what turns off in your rig and you know for certain which goes to which. I would just ignore that panel and just test all of your fuses while you're there. If you do have a multimeter, then this process can be even faster. You can test all of your fuses in under a minute. Just take your multimeter and set it to the continuity setting. This is the one with a little audio symbol next to it. The continuity setting just tells us whether or not electricity can move between the two probes of our meter. So we would expect a wire to have continuity because electricity can move through a wire, and we would expect a broken wire to not have continuity because electricity can't move through it. In the exact same way, we would expect a good fuse to have continuity, and we would expect a bad fuse to not have continuity. When you test for continuity with your meter, it is super easy because your meter has a built-in speaker. So your meter is going to make a beeping noise when the two probes have continuity, and it's not going to make any sound when the two probes don't have continuity. So just to reiterate, when you're testing a fuse, if the fuse is good, the meter will make a noise, and if the fuse is bad, the meter won't make a noise. You got this. Step 1 to test your fuses is you're going to unplug the RV from shore power and throw your battery disconnect. This is going to make sure that we don't have any electricity going to the fuse panel. The reason that we do this is because the way that your meter tests for continuity is it sends a little bit of electricity out of one probe, and then it looks to see, does that same amount of electricity make it to the second probe? If there's already electricity going through the system outside of what your meter is sending out, then it can just get some weird readings, and you'll often see that there's continuity even when there isn't. So we just make sure no power going to the fuses before we test them. With that out of the way, when you go to look at your fuses, you're going to see that there's a little bit of metal poking out at the top of them, and that is specifically to help us test them quickly. With your meter set to continuity, just take one probe, put it on one side of the fuse, and take your other probe and put it on the other side of the fuse. If you hear a beep, then the fuse is good. If you don't hear a beep, then the fuse is probably bad. If you're ever not sure, you can go ahead and pull that fuse out and test it on the blade paddles itself, just to double check your work and know for sure. Okay, so you found a dead fuse. Now what? All you need to do is go to your local O'Reilly's, AutoZone, auto parts store, and get a replacement. They should have basically any size of fuse that you find in your RV. The biggest thing here is you just want to make sure that you replace the fuse with one that's the exact same size and the exact same rating. So for these blade fuses, when you look at the top of them, you're going to see that it has a number of some sort. You want to make sure that the new fuse that you put in has that exact same number on top. So we would replace a 10 with a 10, okay? And that's it. It's that easy. Once you've gotten confident using your meter to test the fuses around your RV, if you'd like to learn how you can use the other settings on your meter to save you over $5,000 in RV repairs, check out the free guide that I have in the description. You would be surprised how many calls I get where this little guy is the only problem. Replacing one of these costs you a couple cents. Calling a tech like me is going to cost you a couple $100. So save yourself the trouble. The next time something stops working in your RV and it won't turn on at all, the first place that I want you to check is your fuses. But if all of the fuses in your fuse panel are testing fine, that's when we start hunting down the secret fuses that are hiding in and around your RV. If you have a Dometic tanked water heater, and you'll know it's a Dometic because it has this black back to it, if for whatever reason your water heater won't turn on, go ahead and check out that circuit board. Look carefully, and you should find a tiny fuse hiding on him somewhere. Editing Emily here. For some reason that clip cut out when I was filming, but when you pull that fuse out of that circuit board, it's going to be a little itty bitty one like this. But this is a time to remember that mighty things can come in small packages. This guy may be tiny, but he does his job well. He's there to protect your circuit board, and you can test him the exact same way that we tested the fuses in your fuse panel. You got this. What if your fridge won't turn on or is just acting weird? Go ahead and unplug the fridge in the back, throw your battery disconnect, and then remove the cover to your circuit board. You may have to unplug a wire or two in order to get that cover off, but just take a picture so you know how to wire it back up after. Once you have that cover off and you take a look over your circuit board, you're going to find that it has 1, 2, or 3 fuses on it, depending on what brand and model of fridge that you have. Some of those fuses may be cylindrical in shape, but they are doing the exact same job as the blade fuses that we've been looking at so far. And they can be tested the exact same way. And if you need to replace one of those cylindrical fuses, you'll find the rating info on the silvery head of the fuse. This is something that you're probably going to need to pull out your good readers for. I have 20/20 vision and I struggle to read them from time to time. A note here about the cylindrical fuses: sometimes the cylindrical ones specifically on your fridge circuit board are actually protecting the AC side of the circuit board as opposed to the DC side. If you don't know what that means, no problem. It just means that that fuse is special and you're not going to be able to find it usually at your O'Reilly's or your AutoZone. Those type of fuses I can usually find at Lowe's or Home Depot, or sometimes I just order them online. You'll know that it's an AC fuse, meaning one of the ones you're not going to be able to find at AutoZone or O'Reilly's, if on the head of the fuse it says something like 120, 115, or AC. That is the only weird AC fuse that I have found hiding in RVs. But if you have found another one out there, please let me know in the comments. But what about if your air conditioner or your furnace won't turn on? Fun fact, when I bought this RV, I bought it used, and I was able to get almost $1,000 off when I bought the thing because at the time that I went to buy it, the air conditioner wouldn't turn on. And I had a sneaking suspicion that it was actually just a problem with the thermostat and not with the air conditioner itself. Here's how you could check to see if something similar is happening in your RV. If you have a thermostat that looks something like this and either your furnace or your air conditioner won't turn on at all, or one of the settings won't turn on, go ahead and open this bad boy up and see if he has a cylindrical fuse hiding inside. If he does, go ahead and test that bad boy the exact same way that we've been testing fuses this whole video and see if he's your problem. Bonus tip here when it comes to pulling out those cylindrical fuses, whether you find them in the front of your rig, in your fridge circuit board, or in your thermostat, the easiest way I found to get them out is to just take the probe of my meter and just stick it behind the fuse and then pop it out. You're going to be really tempted to go at these with needle nose pliers, and I just find that more often than not, that just crushes the fuse as opposed to helping you pull it out. So just a little tip from having pulled hundreds of fuses at this point. If you'd like to learn other quick and easy tests like this that you can do in and around your RV to avoid having to call a tech and potentially save you thousands in RV repairs, check out that free guide that I have in the description. And if you'd like to see all of those multimeter tests in action, check out this video where I walk you through step by step how to test your Dometic water heater to figure out why it's not turning on. In the meantime, this has been RV Repair Woman. You got this.